Well, thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah, and just the quantum of result reactions that will happen in the morning today makes it an exciting day of trade. Frankly, not too much else. Even if not too much else, just the quantum of result reactions is exciting. But first, what the US markets did overnight, well, I think if you just look at the charts, it will show you that it was a bit of a nothing kind of a day, flattish gyrations here and there, which would happen in every market, but nothing too dramatic really on the markets front. There's this chart on the Bloomberg terminal, which will come up on your screen next. And amongst other things, I mean, actually, there are 2 or 3 charts, to be honest. One of them is even the currency related. But the first one that I want to show is how, while we may think that the markets are a bit quiet right now, almost everything is done well, but for Europe. So if you just look at how things have moved up, MSCI Asia Pacific, excluding Japan, MSCI EMs, S&P 500, everything is done well, but Europe is lagging. The question you want to ask is, if Europe recovers post this COVID pandemic, would money flow there because the markets may be a bit valued better? Let's wait and watch if that happens. But speaking of global markets, the rest of the Asian pack is almost non-existent today because of the Lunar New Year holidays, and therefore, let's just pull up the SGX Nifty. Only the SGX Nifty will come up on your screen next, and let's just see what is indicating. So flattish start in line with the global cues, you would have to admit, because the US markets didn't do too much. The futures are not doing too much. Asia is almost non-existent today in trade. So until Europe opens, we don't have any major cues, global cues to play around with. So therefore, it's our global or domestic cues. Now, what did the domestic cues tell us yesterday? Well, they told us yesterday that the broader market is wanting to perform well. Now, it's too soon to say because this week has been rather mixed. A day we had great market breadth, a day we haven't had great market breadth. But the trade setup for today is that the Nifty small cap index, the way it performed yesterday is pretty commendable because more than 60% of the stocks ended in the green. If you look at the benchmark index itself, in the absence of Bank Nifty performing, Reliance is now starting to support. And for the last 4 days, you would ask that Niraj has been talking about why is it that pharma stocks will start performing, and they are not doing that. It's finally starting to perform, right? And with Sun Pharma's news today, you might see pharma do really well over the next few days. Maybe I was a few days too early, but dealers were telling me that there is a lot of money moving into pharma stocks. Maybe you will see pharma do well. So just keep that at the back of your mind. The flows picture was pretty mixed, really. Hardly any moves there on the FI and the DI side. It's almost negative each other. So net cash of some 238 crores or thereabouts. So hardly anything dramatic there. But it's a busy day of trade. Firstly, very quickly, the results that are going to come out today before I talk about the results that have come out, and there are a bunch of them there. So Grasim is the only Nifty name that is going to come out with numbers. But the non-Nifty pack is a pretty exciting one. There is Bharat Forge and auto ancillaries. We all know have done really well. Deepak Nitrite, because the stock moved up about 6% yesterday as well. Motherson Sumi had a terrific day before yesterday. Trade day before yesterday, and always exciting. You will hear the management today, by the way, on BloombergQuint at about I think 1:30 or 2:30 or thereabouts. Info Edge, again interesting because of Zomato and some others, and with all what the real estate companies are doing, I think Embassy Office Parks, REIT, and Phoenix Mills assume that significance. So a bunch of very important broader market stocks to watch out for. But the numbers and the news flow around stocks that will react this morning is actually even more. So let me try and dwell some time there, viewers. I'm moving to that space very quickly today. Sun Pharma, the stock has been buzzing for the last 2 days, but the news announcement came in immediately post-market hours yesterday that Sun Pharma has settled the whistleblower complaint of diverting funds to Aditya Medisales. The company paid the settlement amount of 56 lakh rupees. Dilip Sangvi had to pay some 62. Sudhir Wale also had to pay some charges. The point is not the charges. 56 lakhs. Fine. The point is that it is settled, and that is, if you see any brokerage report, they spoke about 3 key triggers for Sun Pharma. Illumia was one, but one of them was the settlement of this case with SEBI. It has happened. I think it's a net positive, and the stock could further react, but keep in mind that the stock has already reacted in the run-up to this announcement. So is there more steam left? Most probably is, but you have to be mindful of the fact that it had a bit of a run-up. So please be mindful of that. That's the limited point that I'm trying to make. Then ITC, interesting numbers. Let's try and digest them and the commentary thereof. So first, compared to estimates, the Bloomberg estimates, the revenues were at 12,580 versus 11,935. So that's a good show. Net profit 3,662 versus 3,613. Margins 34% versus 30%. They've given a dividend of 5 rupees per share. The street wasn't expecting too much, and therefore there's, I believe, the technical upside there for ITC too. And the commentary. So they are saying that the cigarette volumes witnessed strong sequential recovery, led mainly by metros and large town markets. I presume this means that they would expect this to continue. Comparable FMCG revenue segment grew at about 11%. Hotels turned EBITDA positive in December and break even for quarter three. And they've had the key line is that in the hotel space, the fixed costs have come down by 44%, which means that this cost reduction is most probably sustainable, right? So you would presume that if it's broken even in quarter three and EBITDA positive in December, the hotel segment could actually turn much better results in quarter four. A simple arithmetic, so to say. So the commentary seems to be a lot more positive, and they've outperformed on the EBITDA front. For a giant like ITC to have a 400 basis points expansion in margins is commendable. It's got a bit of tailwind to itself. I would reckon that they should continue in the session today. Anyways, the technical factor of the dividend also kinds of lends itself to a percent and a half of move any which ways. But I think ITC could perform today. Let's wait and watch. Some mid-cap numbers, and a lot of them there. So I've chosen Uflex individually simply because of what Polyplex also did. Viewers, you remember, some 14-15% up move, good results. Uflex, look at the numbers. Net profit, 89% uptick. EBITDA, 50%. Revenues up 17%. So if you look at it in the reverse order, revenues to EBITDA to net profit, the growth is very sequential and accelerating, and which is actually pretty strong, right? If you do EBITDA growth of 50%, naturally the net profit will grow faster. They've also announced fresh expansion plans, domestic expansion. They are setting up a greenfield. They have set up a greenfield packaging firms plant in Karnataka. So that is going to happen. There's a new CPP line that's going to set up in UAE. And they've commissioned the BOPET line in Poland to become the largest BOPET manufacturing in EU, and that's pretty commendable too. With COVID being at the forefront, I think packaging companies have got a really good push to their business, and it's showing in Polyplex, it's showing in Uflex. Be interesting to see how these shape up over the course of the next few days. But Uflex, I would presume, despite all the all the points which keep its valuations low, should do well. Remember, it's 4 times trailing PE, so the valuations are not at all expensive. I would reckon Uflex could have a good day. Some other stocks to monitor because of the price movement that they have had. Automotive Axle, GNA Axle, because of the Automotive Axle commentary, both of them were up yesterday, and they should be interesting to watch. Vodafone Idea because of the price move yesterday, and PNC Infratech. Remember, Nomura came out with a report and they said that the stock could have gains of whatever, 40% upside. So watch out for these names. And watch out for the aviation companies because the Ministry of Civil Aviation has raised the lower and upper limits on domestic airfares by 10 to 30%. This should naturally have a further tailwind to these stocks, even if it's only for a couple of months. So do watch out. There should be some activity there. Amongst disappointments, I think ACC, a bit of a disappointment. Sales volume was 1% lower. Most companies have actually done slightly better there. Adjusted EBITDA was 703 crores versus estimates of 785 crores. So ACC could react negatively. Ashok Leyland is the other one that could react a bit negatively because the results were a big miss. So actually amongst the results to watch, aside of the ones that I've already spoken about, are stocks like Ashok Leyland, wherein the results were a miss, and therefore that stock should be in focus. A stock like ITD Cementation, which came out with a really good set of numbers and therefore should be in focus today. Do watch out for ITD Cementation as well. I think, if I'm not wrong, let me just pull out the numbers. Unless I'm very wrong, the numbers looked very, very strong for ITD Cementation as well. So that's the other stock that you have to keep in mind. Yes, indeed. There was strength, and the valuation is in favor. The PAT was up 191%, and Federal Mogul, the PAT was up about 329%. So these 3 names should certainly be in focus in the session today. The valuations too are a lot more reasonable. So a few names that all of us should watch out for. Lastly, viewers, Bitcoin has broken past 48,000. I hope all of you have read our story yesterday by my colleague Somesh, which says that there is a very high probability that the Indian government will ban all cryptocurrency and would give a transition period for people to sell out of it. So Maybe you want to wait for the official announcement to come, but it's something that all of you should watch out for if you are a potential or a current crypto investor. As much as all of us love if you are invested in Bitcoin and Bitcoin is gaining, but this story should give you a point to ponder. Please be mindful of that. Log into our website and try and read more about this. As we speak, of course, Bitcoin is on a tear. Anyways, happy trading. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Stay safe, wear your masks, and have a great weekend.